Did you know that systems for family problem solving create peace at home? They do. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. When a person learns self-government, that means that they have a change of heart. But learning self-government is actually a process. So let's talk in this video about what that system, what that process can look like. In this video, we're going to talk about what it looks like in a home that doesn't have a system that's working well. Then we're going to talk about what most families are looking for in a good system, what a great system has in place, and how teaching self-government can help. When a family does not have a predictable system in place, then a lot of trial and error is the result. A lot of power struggle is usually the result. So family members will end up manipulating, debating, trying to coerce, control, nag, remind again, trying to get somebody to take an initiative, trying to get the children to take an investment in the family. So really, without a system, usually you end up losing focus as a group. Part of your system usually involves an identity for the group, or the group understanding who they are and where they're headed. And usually this has to be deliberately talked about. If it isn't deliberately talked about, then everybody's just out for themselves and kind of drifting through this family dynamic, which really makes everyone feel a little bit isolated, even when they are with their family members. When your family becomes selfish, then everything falls apart. And without a system, then everybody is playing every little detail of every interaction. So let's say a child says to a parent, "Mom, can I go to play at Susan's house?" And mom says, "No, you can't go play at Susan's house because it's almost dinner time." And then the child says, "Oh, but I'm not hungry. I already ate. I don't want to eat dinner." Now mom is saying, "Okay, it doesn't matter if you already ate. You're going to be hungry again later, so you need to eat now." "No, I won't be hungry again later." So now they're talking about food, and they're talking about when a person will or won't be hungry. This is a massive distraction. I call it getting caught in the weeds. You're totally caught in the weeds. Guess what the problem is? The problem is the daughter did not accept a no answer. The mom said, "No, you can't go to Susan's." The mom has the parental authority to say no. If the child is honoring the parental authority and wants to talk back to her mother, she needs to do it in an appropriate way. There's a skill for that. It's called disagreeing appropriately. If the mother and the daughter know the skill, the daughter can use it properly. But then if she disagrees appropriately and the mother still says no, then the child has to say okay, be okay, and drop the subject. That's what a self-governed person does. But instead, this mother and daughter, in the first example, end up talking about food and debating who is going to be hungry when and how they're going to solve the hunger situation because dinner was mentioned. Now, it doesn't matter that dinner is mentioned. Parents should give a why for their no answers to their children as often as they can, but they shouldn't keep debating a why. So when the child talks back, they shouldn't talk back to the child about the talk back. This then just creates a power struggle that never ends. This wears out parents, and it makes it so that people end up focusing more on the food than they did on the skill that the child should have been using. And this undermines the roles and the parental authority in the home. It hurts the child because the child doesn't have anyone there to help them have a safety check in these interactions either. And the child develops a habit of power struggling with the parent to get what they want. This is not healthy. And this happens in families all over the world all the time. And it's because parents have not pre-taught their children the skills that they need, and they're not helping their children follow through with utilizing those great proactive skills that are going to help them in life. So let's talk a little bit about these skills. But before we do, are you enjoying this video or this channel? Then definitely click the subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss the other videos that come out. So what do families want? They want unity. They want understanding. They want to have a bond with their children. And when you are power struggling and debating all of the time, guess what? You don't get those things. Every person then is out for themselves again and again. So then we don't get what we want. A system helps us to be able to communicate so that we can get what we want. It's beautiful. So don't be afraid of systems. I know some people have a bad taste in their mouth when they say system and they say parenting, because then they think, oh no, it means more work. But the good news is you put in a little bit of work at the beginning on a system, it makes everything easier afterward. In fact, whenever I would take any foster child into my home, at first there was a lot of teaching and a lot of correcting, but over time there was less and less and less. That's just what happens. And with my own children, who were raised from the time they were babies with all of the skills and principles that I teach in our system, there came to be a time where days and days would go by without me having anything I needed to correct. And then when I got the opportunity to correct one of my children, I got a little bit excited because I thought, oh, I get to live my role here and do some corrections. But because they honestly just were so self-governing. So let's talk about what that looks like, because I would like to share with you my system, which is called the Teaching Self-Government System, that will help you understand how to create a system or an environment so that you and your children can learn self-government. You might remember from other videos that self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So everything that I teach is based upon that principle, that a person can learn cause and effect, and they can make choices for themselves, and then they can course correct when they notice that they've gone off course. Now, who helps a child learn that they need a course correct? Who helps them notice at first that maybe they've missed their mark? Well, it's the parents. That's our job. That's our role, to teach our children how to recognize the lessons of cause and effect and how to make better decisions for themselves going forward. So at the beginning of a self-government journey, it's going to be a little bit more hands-on with the parent. The parent is going to be consistently teaching, praising, correcting their children. But as the child grows, soon the child will start instructing themselves, motivating themselves, giving themselves no answers, accepting their own consequences, even doing self-corrections. And by the time they graduate to adulthood, they should be able to do all of the parenting of themselves. That's right, parents or adults, actually, if they're very effective adults, they're ones that are very self-governed, they actually are correcting themselves on a regular basis. They think it's a healthy thing to correct themselves. This means that that old principle of repentance to them actually is a healthy thing. They're okay with it. It's not bad. It's not shameful. And they don't make it shameful or bad for their children either. Okay, so I've written 11 books. These 11 books are all part of the Teaching Self-Government System. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't turn this off. It's not as hard as it looks. 4 of these books are to help the children learn the 4 basic skills. These 4 journals at the bottom are to help with your meetings and to help you teach your children problem-solving skills. So it helps develop their prefrontal cortex. Then these books at the top are to help your family get the roles in the right place, so to get everybody connected, focused, going towards self-government, to help with parental self-government, and then to help learn all of the nuts and bolts of self-government, the skill sets that you need to put the whole system in place. This is going to be your key book. So this is what I have created to make it easier for you. And actually there's even more. So if you go to teachingselfgovernment.com, you'll find more in the shop page. I've got a chart that helps with the children learning where they are in an interaction and what their choices are. I also have cue cards to help you in the moment so that you don't fall into old bad habits, and a lot of other audios that go into a lot more depth and understanding on emotions, your own self-government, all those types of things, as well as a course that has been leading out in parenting around the world. Let's talk about a few of the nuts and bolts that you're going to need. Number 1, how do you get the family on the same page? Well, I talked about roles. That book is awesome. Read it, discuss it as a family. But then after that, you're going to want to make a picture of who you're becoming as a family. I call it creating a family vision. Who are you as the Peck family or whatever your last name is. Who are you and where are you going? You need to know that. Deliberately decide as a group, revisit it again and again so that you don't lose focus. So when people get selfish, they lose focus, or when people lose focus, they get selfish. Either way, those two things are connected together. That's what I'm saying. Now I can talk about the skills. Now I always save that till the end because people want the skills really fast. They want them at first, but I have to tell you something about the skills, a little disclaimer, and that is that these skills could be used manipulatively. So it takes a certain type of a tone and a certain type of a structure to set up an environment where self-government can be learned, and one of the biggest tone elements is calmness. And if a parent does not have calmness, but they start using the skills, it's not the best. It's still better than using nothing and totally manipulating and getting overly creative. That can be bad. And so stepping towards skills might be a step in the right direction, but you could still be power struggling with your children even with the skills if you don't have the right tone. So there are 4 basic skills. They are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. There's also 5 teaching styles for the parents. So that's 5 skills that the parents use so that they can effectively correct and teach their children and help prepare the children proactively ahead of time to learn those 4 basic skills that we talked about. But what if the parent is not calm? That doesn't mean it's a lost cause, because we can always work on our calmness. But I have to tell you, one of the hardest things that I ever had to master was me. When I'm talking about self-government and teaching your children self-government, I'm talking about you self-governing you. So in order to help you, I want to give you something. It's a gift to help you with your calmness. I have a Calm Parenting Toolkit, and right now I want to give it to you for free. So there's a link in the description below this video that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. And if you go to that link right now, you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. That will give you 10 lessons about calmness, 10 different tools that you can use to prepare yourself to be calm. So then when you use all of the skills, the meetings, the problem-solving exercises, when you put this system into place in your family, you'll be ready. Now just a little message for you, and that is you don't have to be fully perfect at calmness or anything else to get going. You won't get perfect at any of it until you practice. So start learning more, start practicing now. You will learn self-government and your children won't be far behind. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.